Okay, looks like we are finally live. Hello, Silver Bullet Fitness community. We are live today. No face on the webcam today. Today we're going to be doing a brief overview on macro tracking. Again, head to the website silverbulletfitness.me/MTMS to get your free ebook on tracking your macros and tracking your calories. Kickstart your fitness journey today. Make sure that you, after you download it and read it, you share some of your successes with me in the group or just in general. In the book, I mention the need for a fitness tracking app. Today, we're going to be looking at two of the major fitness tracking apps, at least the two that I've been the most familiar with and the two that I find to be the best. There are several of them out there. There's a couple called like MyPlate, and a few other ones too, a few other free ones. But today I'm going to be showing you Cronometer, which is a free one, as well as MyFitnessPal, which I technically recommend the paid version on MyFitnessPal. This is one that I use. But we'll start with Cronometer. So why are we choosing Cronometer to track our macros over something like MyFitnessPal or any of the other ones? Well, Cronometer, while being free, gives us something that the other ones don't, which is it gives us a barcode scanner. Now, you're seeing this on my desktop right now, so unfortunately you cannot see the barcode scanning option, but it has a barcode scanner that allows you to scan any barcode on any food, and it will do its best to find the exact input for that food, which makes tracking a whole ton easier, because otherwise you are having to go in on your phone and then type in certain things, and that can be difficult depending on what you're trying to find. If you're trying to find Kirkland, let's say that's the Costco or BJ's brand, you're trying to find specific things, it can be a little bit trickier to find the exact thing that you're looking for, whereas if you have the barcode scanner, you can find the foods fast. So that's one of the best reasons to use Cronometer, is that it is free and does have a barcode scanner, as well as a very reliable library of foods. One of the things that you always want to worry about when choosing a tracking tool like this is, am I going to find the exact accurate representations in the foods that I search for? And so Cronometer, MyFitnessPal, they have the largest library of valid and verified food sources that other people have put in over the last 10 years, however long these companies have been around for. And so people have vetted it. They know exactly what the product is. They've gone through several times, had several checks, and they know, okay, this is the exact product, same serving size and everything else that you would be purchasing from the store. So brief overview of Cronometer. So Cronometer is, I would say, a little bit more hectic screen-wise, even in the mobile version. And the reason being is because you are tracking on the free version, which means you're going to be getting hit with a lot of ads. But what you would want to do, the first thing you want to do anytime you hop into a food tracking app like Cronometer, is you actually want to go into your targets or into your settings to change your goals around. And so that's the first thing that we're going to do. There's a lot of other kind of things in these apps that you can look at and kind of mess around with, like trends, nutrition reports, snapshots, things like that. But the main, first, and most important thing you want to do is check the targets. Now, in some of the unpaid versions, they won't allow you to change certain things. I know for Cronometer, there are certain things you can't do, like in your macro scheduler. You can't create templates. You can't enable the scheduler to kind of set it each week to change the amount of macros you're trying to hit each week. If you're doing things like carbohydrate cycling, or if you are jumping between keto, stuff like that, you can't really set things like that. You kind of have to pick one profile or one macro type and then run it for a little while. But that's okay for our uses. That's perfectly fine. So we want to go into our targets and profile, and we want to set our protein, our carbs, and our fat. And usually when you do that, you will then have the energy target, which becomes your calories at the bottom of that. They can also do it by ratio as well. You know, if you're doing something that is higher ratio based on your already calculated calories from the weight goal, you can do it that way. But I like to do fixed target, because fixed targets allow me to set my calorie target without having to worry about the actual app trying to set my calorie target, because it doesn't always do the best of jobs when you do the whole questionnaire on what your height, weight, age, and all that kind of stuff is on exactly how much you should be eating. But, just for instance, to say I'm trying to do 150 grams of protein in a day, and I'm trying to do 205 grams of carbs, doing relatively low fat, so I'm doing 50 grams of fat, then that's going to come out to be 1,800 calories in a day. And you see it's flagging me right now because it's not matching the exact calorie count that I have set in my energy target or my target that way. Now I can always go in here and update the weight goal. In that, I can update the energy target goal as well, and then I can set the basal metabolic rate as well as my TEF and everything else. So it just kind of gives you an actual overview of how much it wants you to get based on your activity, your basal metabolic rate, which is your resting rate, and then if you have a tracker activated or anything like that. Like I said, Cronometer is a good option. It is a little bit, some people say it's a little bit more in depth than MyFitnessPal. I've been using MyFitnessPal for a lot longer, so I do like MyFitnessPal a little bit more. But this is the first thing that you would want to do when going in here. Set your goals, get all of that taken care of. Then, when you're back at your dashboard, while you're going through your day, you would then be updating your food on a regular basis and then checking how it is actually reaching the scores that you want it to reach in terms of your targets, whether it be your energy, protein, or carbs, or your actual calories. So just as a brief example, let's say we're going to breakfast, right? So we have nothing under the breakfast tab right now because I haven't added anything yet. So let's say I'm going to add some food. We're going to do some like eggs. Let's say we do let's do boiled eggs, for instance, right? So boiled eggs. It's going to show me the serving size, which is 44 grams. It's always important to weigh out your food just in case, because it's not always going to be the same. Like, what's a medium egg versus what's a medium banana. So I like to weigh everything no matter what. It's going to show you exactly what your serving size looks like, and then your diary group, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Let's say I decide I'm going to have 3 of those or 4 of those in the morning. And I have different options in here to change the way it is being tracked. It's giving me the automatic medium 44 grams, but if I were to just set it to grams by itself, okay, and then say, okay, if one is 44 and I weigh it out and it comes out to be like, let's say 250 grams on my scale, then I can set it accurately to the 250 grams instead of saying like 3 or 4 of those eggs. So I usually weigh everything in grams. That's what you'd want to do. So let's say I had 250 grams of hard-boiled egg. I'd add it to my diary, and then boom, you can see it popping up here as an energy consumed, what's remaining, and then our protein, our fat, and our carbs based on the numbers that we associated and put in earlier. So really simple. Then you're able to see, okay, here's my breakfast, as well as putting in more, lunch, dinner, and snacks. There are other things that you can do in Cronometer. You can add in exercise as well. You can add in biometrics like your weight. You can change certain things in there. And then you can add notes as well. One thing I will say is that I don't usually add exercise into my tracking. And the reason I don't add exercise in my tracking is because you see it says resistance training, strength endurance, 120 minutes, which means I'm going to be minusing 381 calories based on my current weight that I have set in the system. Part of the problem with that is that it's assuming the 120 minutes, the 2 hours of strength training I'm doing is, well, what's its metric? Is it moderate? Is it intense? Is it nothing? Am I at the gym and I'm working out and I'm looking at my phone and scrolling social media for 14 minutes in between each set, right? So since there is no a real good way to track energy burn from a workout unless you explicitly keep a heart rate monitor on you, and I'm not talking about one on the watch, I mean one that you would wrap around your chest, find out what your average heart rate was over the course of the amount of time that you were working, and then do the math to find out how many calories were burned. That's the only effective way to do it. In apps like this, because it doesn't know enough information, it doesn't know if you are in the sun, it doesn't know if you're in the gym, it just has no idea. I tend to avoid tracking my, quote, exercise from a caloric perspective, whereas instead I'll track my exercise in a workout journal, which I have on my website as well. So this is Cronometer. It's a very simple, it's a brief overview of it, just kind of giving you an idea of what you should be looking at. This way, if you're nervous about it or are afraid to install it or don't know which one to install, you can see now that it's a very simple system that does not require all of the rest of the noise, especially for what the ad is actually giving you, which is a bunch of ads and things like that. Once you skip past that, you set your proper macro profile, and you just track daily. That's all you need to focus on. You don't need to focus on anything else. Moving over to, again, before I go on, like suggest food with its AI stuff to upgrade and things of that nature. These can be useful tools if you are completely unsure of what you like to eat or what does